Morning, everyone. Once again, we will go ahead and get started with our March 15th media session with our SWAC head football coaches here in the conference. We do ask for any media members that are on the call, if you would please use the raise your hand feature here on Zoom to submit questions. I'm going to try to mix as many of those questions in as we can during our allotted time. Each coach will be available for us in 10-minute segments. Any media are in need of the audio or the video recordings of this media session, please feel free to send an email to a.roberts@swac.org. Once again, please send that email to a.roberts@swac.org. We'll be happy to get you the video and audio recordings of this link. With that being said, we will begin with our lineup as it is printed. We'll begin with the Alabama A&M Bulldogs this past week. Bye week. Coach Maynor is here to join us. Coach, if you would please start by recapping your bye week and previewing your upcoming opponent.
Okay, our bye week, we just try to go back to the basics and go back to the fundamentals and get some treatment, get some bumps and bruises taken care of. Even though it's early, we still been going at it for a while. So get some bumps and bruises, get rested up, get healed up, and light week all week. Just helmets and try to keep everybody fresh and get ready to go this week against Prairie View. Prairie View's Coach Dooley's doing a great job. Those guys got them undefeated, got 2 big wins, and so now we got to go up there. They're rolling pretty good, and we got to be clicking on all cylinders: offense, defense, special teams. We definitely can't turn the ball over 4 or 5 times like we did last game. Expected to beat Prairie View and Coach Dooley, so we got to clean that up and keep playing hard and fast on defense and play a little bit better in special teams to have a chance to win the football game.
Coach, obviously you alluded to it, the nature of Prairie View's team with their 2 wins so far this season. Looking at them on film, what are some of the things that stand out about their team offensively and defensively?
Well, offensively, Dooley is a offensive guru. So, he's going to spread you out and take what you give you and force you to do some things. They do a lot of good things. And what they do with the wide receivers to try to keep the secondary guys out of the run game, out of the run fit. So, this ain't his first barbecue. You do an excellent job on offense, and you have to be prepared. You got to be sound, and you got to be a good tackler. Defensively, they're gonna fly around. They're a little bit smaller than the typical defense, but I'm pretty sure they're doing that because they're preparing for all the spread teams, and they're gonna fly around. And they fast, man. They're gonna get after that quarterback. So you got to be prepared, and you got to be ready to go against them. They're gonna put out a good product.
Once again, to all of our media on the call, if you do have a question for Coach Maynor, please use the raise your hand feature here on Zoom. We will try to get as many questions in as we can during our allotted time. Once again, if you do have any questions for Coach Maynor, please use the raise your hand feature here on Zoom. All right, our first question comes from Mr. Brian Bearfield.
Coach, after the last game you all played, you said that your quarterback was a little bit rusty. What did you all do in the bye week, or what did you see on the film to help him prepare for that Prairie View defense this week? Well,
it was just a lot of rust from being over 400 days playing. First game on the road, ESPN3. So just first game jitters, and he was a little nervous. Any great athlete worth his salt is going to be a little nervous. And so he just had to settle down. After that first quarter, he kind of settled down a little bit and started playing more like a quill glass. And, we just, play one play at a time. Play one play at a time, do your job for one play. And then next thing you know, that series will be over with, quarter be over with, half be over with, the game be over with. And that's all you can really do. And so we just talked to him about the basics, just settling down, make your reads, play one play at a time.
Coach Maynor, obviously a lot of the focus of your offense goes to a quill glass, talented player at the quarterback position. Much has been said here recently about the talent at the receiver position for you. Talk a little bit about that group.
Yeah, we have a lot of talent at that position, and as last year we had 2,000-yard receivers, and both of those guys are back in front of the ball. One was a senior, Xavier Moore. Another one was a freshman, and Abdullah. So And then we got Brian Jenkins back, and we got Terrell, we got OJ. OJ scored 2 touchdowns against South Carolina State. So we're very pleased with those guys and what they can do and their potential at the wide receiver position. And then they got a quarterback like Aquil Glass that can give them the ball. So we just have to protect up front, give Aquil time to throw, and he got a lot of weapons to throw to.
Appreciate it, Coach. Currently taking questions for Coach Maynor with Alabama A&M. Coach, obviously the nature of this season and the pandemic with the pauses and the stops with everything regarding this COVID-19 pandemic, what are some of the things from a coaching staff that you try to do to keep your team always fresh and ready to go, despite the nature of what this COVID season brings, not only with the additional bye weeks, but just with the start and stops?
Well, you just have to be prepared for anything. We've been saying that it's some people say the new normal, but just got to expect the unexpected, and try to do all you can do. Stay 6 feet apart, wear your mask, keep your hands washed at all times, because you can do everything perfect and still contract the virus. So we want to do everything we can possibly on our side, and then let everything else be made like it may. Valley unfortunately had some situations, but they probably was doing everything they were supposed to do, and just 1 or 2 guys got it, and then it spread. So we've been blessed, and that we haven't had that problem. So we're going to keep our fingers crossed and continue to do the things that we was doing, and just got to try to keep them prepared mentally that they can do everything they can do the right way and still be effective.
Any questions for Coach Maynor, Alabama A&M? Coach, hearing none, as always, we do appreciate your time. We look forward to speaking with you again next week.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. We are a little bit ahead of schedule here. Next up, we'll be joined by head coach Donald Hill-Eley with the Alabama State Hornets. We're going to wait till 10:15 just to allow any media there from that outlet from Montgomery that want to join on an opportunity to get on. Coach will be on from 10:15 to 10:25. It's 10:12 right now is the time I have, so we'll come back here momentarily. Thank you for your patience. Once again, we do ask all of our media that are here participating in this call, if you do have questions, please feel free to use that raise your hand feature. We'll be sure to try to get to your questions during our allotted time. So once again, if you do have any questions, please use the raise your hand feature here on Zoom. Got about a minute. Well, actually, clock just hit 10:15, so we'll actually get started, and we'll bring in here Coach Eley. Once again, media, if you do have any questions for Coach after these opening statements, use that raise your hand feature so that we can get you your questions. Coach, obviously, similar situation for you this past week, entering this week after a bye. Big game upcoming against Jackson State, obviously, there in Montgomery. Coach, if you would please recap your bye week for us and then preview your upcoming opponent.
Well, good morning, everybody. Again, it's normal on a bye week, to try to get you guys healthy. We've been fortunate enough to have 2 bye weeks back to back and was able to, gain guys coming back, catch up on some of, the academic things that you still got to, definitely keep in place to be able to play in the fall and, clean up some of those mistakes that we had in the Southern game and just mentally and physically just get the guys in a good place to finish this spring season out. And I thought we was able to do that with some of the, on off that we've been able to do here and keeping them focused is more classroom than being on their legs and on the field and then getting them back out there, still keeping them physical. So, it's been one of those ones that it was a much needed break, much needed time off and looking forward to getting back in the swing of things this upcoming week versus Jackson, much improved Jackson. Those kids are playing hard, undefeated, got a new swag about themselves and, plays that they didn't make last year. When you look at last year's film, guys are playing above their heads. So Coach Sanders is doing a good job of having those guys to play above themselves. The quarterback is doing a good job of making better decisions with the football. Last year, he took a lot of sacks by holding the ball. Now you see him break the pocket, throwing it away, putting the team in great situations. And then defensively, they're flying around. They got a lot of eyes on the football with, a lot of the different coverages that they're doing. And the front is doing a good job of contain rushing upfield, and special teams, is sound, have a couple of mistakes here or there that you see, but for the most part, they're a very good football team, a much improved football team. So we know we got our work cut out, and, we'll, do what we need to do to be able to give them a ball game.
Appreciate that, Coach. Obviously, this game takes on a little bit of an added spotlight. It'll be on ESPN2. Talk a little bit about what that does just as far as exposure for your program.
Well, collectively, as a whole, with our program to be able to play on a national platform gives us an opportunity to gain a lot of recruits, that are out there, but more importantly, give our fans a chance to that's abroad because of the pandemic, give them a chance to see us across the country. It's just a great opportunity from what has taken place in HBCU football, and especially SWAC, playing week in and week out on national television.
Appreciate that, Coach. We'll now open it up for questions from our media. Our first question goes to Brian Bearfield.
Coach, on last game, you all had 22 first downs, mixing it up with the run and the pass, and you also dominated with the time of possession, but you all still came away with the loss. Were you able to look at that film during the bye week to see where you all could improve on the game that's coming up this week against Jackson State?
Yeah, whenever you look at a football game, there's 5 plays that's either going to decide it one way or the other. And when we looked at the game, everyone saw the kick at the end, but it wasn't just that kick at the end that was wide right. It was a bobbled punt return. It was a blown coverage that they were able to score on. So it was collectively a couple of different plays that we addressed in the bye week. And we, believe that we have those things fixed, and, and that's what you do at this business. You find out, what's broken, you fix it, and what's working, and you keep it moving. And we feel that we've done that through this bye week, and we're looking forward to playing a much improved Jackson State.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
All right.
Yeah, coming off a bye week, 2 weeks after playing the game, and then 400 days before you start the season, are you concerned at all, maybe coming off a bye week and having a long layoff in the offseason, not being able to play games all of last year might have to adjust to in the early going of the season?
Well, I just think, everyone is having the same issues. In the spring is something that we're not accustomed to, playing a schedule. But for the most part, we appear that, the guys have adapted and they look forward to, playing week in and week out. And just like anything else, it's always some growing pains with the starts and stops. But they've been adapting and playing some good football.
Thanks, Coach.
I didn't hear you. Did you say I could ask a question?
Apologies for that. Yes, sir, Mr. Bearfield, your question.
Coach, you spoke earlier about the exposure of your team playing against a Jackson State. Is there any added incentive for the players knowing that they're coming in playing against a team led by and coached by a Hall of Famer?
I think, week in and week out, again, Coach Sanders has been a household name for years, and sharing that platform and that stage with what he's done for the conference, whether, in conjunction with the commissioner, pursuing the television package. I mean, it's one thing for him to come in, and then the platform that he's, allowing us to be a part of, with his image and everything else that goes with it. I think everybody, even the fans, they're not even referring to it as Jackson State week. They're saying it's Deion week. So but that's been something that's been, he built the platform over 30 years. You can't compete with that. What we want to do is play those 11 guys in the helmet that shows up for the game.
Currently taking questions for Coach Donald Hill-Eley with Alabama State. Coach, just my final question for you. Obviously, we've talked a lot about Jackson State and your upcoming opponent, but kind of shifting back towards Alabama State at the quarterback position, Ryan Nettles, player that played a really, really solid game against Southern University. What does he bring to your team, and what have you liked as far as what you've seen from his progression up to this point in the season?
You know what? He's maturing with every play, every snap, whether it's games or practice. You can see him getting better and better, more comfortable at that position. Nettles, everything that we expected to get from when we recruited him out of Greenville, Alabama, was to be able to put him in a position that he can control the game. He can make every throw. He puts us in great situations when we're running the football, and then guys want to play with them. So when he takes the field, he makes the guys around him better. So again, you're talking about a young man that will be holding that position down for years to come, and just looking forward to seeing him mature and grow.
Any final questions for Coach? All right, hearing none, Coach, as always, we appreciate your time. We'll look forward to speaking with you again next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I have 10:25 here on my clock. We'll go ahead and get started with Grambling State Tigers. We're joined by head coach Broderick Fobbs. Coach Fobbs, obviously always happy to speak with you, sir. If you could please start us out by recapping your team's most recent outing versus the Prairie View A&M Panthers in the State Fair Classic.
Well, I tell you, it was good to get out, to Dallas and play in a really, really nice venue. I think, Mr. Al Walsh did an exceptional job with, switching the venue and getting everything, squared away for us and taking care of both teams. My hat's off to Prairie View A&M. They've done a really good job, the last 3 years. Coach Dooley does a great job of coaching, and at the end of the day, we've done a poor job the last 3 years in that football contest, and they've done a really good job. So, this year is no different. It was a close game, but we didn't play the way we were capable of offensively. I think a lot of that had to do with them, though. And then defensively, I thought, that we're continuing to get better. Of course, this is the game. It's part of it, and this league is so airtight, as far as talent levels with every team that you face, that most of the games are one score games. So it just speaks to the depth of this league, the talent of this league, and the coaching in this particular league. And and we have to get better. We have to get better, tremendously better, and have to play better.
Appreciate that, Coach. Obviously, this week, the schedule keeps going, as they say, right? You'll travel to face the Arkansas Pine Bluff Golden Lions. I'm sorry, actually, they'll come to you at Eddie G. Roberts Stadium. If you could please preview that matchup for us with UAPB.
Well, another really good football team. Really good skill guys on the outside, really good secondary, long and athletic guys that can play. They present a challenge, and they've been a challenge the last couple of years. I think, when you look at that program, they have made huge strides, in the last 3 years, and they're forced to be reckoned with. Of course, we're at the bottom of the barrel right now, and we're clawing and scratching to try to get back in this thing, and it's got to start this week in practice, but they're a great program, and they've been really, really good for the last couple of years, and they're really doing a lot of good things.
Appreciate that, Coach. We'll now take our first question from Brian Bearfield.
Coach, another tough loss for you all this past weekend. This is the second loss that you had by 7 points or less. How will you go back, assess the film, and get the players to, fix those small little nuances and intricacies to compete this weekend?
Well, I mean, we, at the end of the day, talk to our players, all the time about, hey, this is unique in the fact that we're building a house and living in it at the same time. Normally, and all programs are the same right now. Normally, you have an opportunity to, to build that thing, put the foundation down and put the sheetrock up and the walls, and everything, and get that done, before you have to, compete. But we're in the process of building as we play, and that's a different process. That's a really, really different process, and we have to make the adjustment and continue to get better. Obviously, other teams have done a better job of adjusting to that.
Next question comes from Kendrick Marshall.
How you doing, Coach?
Hey, Kendrick.
There was a report last night that your offensive coordinator, Mark Orlando, has stepped down. How surprised were you about that? And how will that impact your offense moving forward?
Well, of course, those I guess, reports are true. Coach Orlando, did meet with me yesterday, and he just felt like, he needed to step away and focus on himself and focus on, his life and his career. And, there's nobody that has more respect for Coach Orlando than myself. Coach Mark Orlando has been a great offensive coordinator in this league for a number of years. He's won several championships at other, universities. And he's a model citizen and a class act and a person that, I feel very close to dearly. But, sometimes, people want to move on, and you have to give them, the opportunity to do what they want to do. And we have to move on and get prepared and be ready to go. Now, as far as what we're doing offensively, of course, there will be some things that will change. There will be a couple things that we'll do a little differently. And then we'll assess everything, as we go forth, with these final games that we have coming up. And then, make sure that we make the necessary changes for the future, because obviously we have to do a lot of changing, in order to be a force in the next season coming up. And at this particular time, we're in the middle of it, and we got to, do as much as we possibly can to be as good as we can at this particular time. So for us, it's about, gaining confidence in practice, getting back to the way we know how to play football, and continue to push through, because, we're not out of this thing by no means, but we are going to need some help in order to get back in the race.
As a quick follow-up to that, Coach, Orlando mentioned that he thought like the offense deserved better as part of the reason why he stepped down. How would you assess his job as offensive coordinator for Grambling?
Well, I think Coach Orlando did a good job. We all, if you stay in this game long enough, and if you coach, football long enough, things happen. Sometimes calls are made and it's a great call. Sometimes calls are made and it's not a great call. Sometimes the defense has you, and then sometimes, they don't, and you have them. But if you stay in this game long enough, you'll be on both sides of it. That's something that I've always been told, and and I'm seeing that. So. But, I think Coach did a really good job. Of course, there's a couple things that we talked about, adding and doing. And at the end of the day, we can't, focus on, those things. We have to focus on now and what's important in front of us right now and doing that, because right now the past really is not going to help us.
All right, thanks a lot, Coach.
Next question is Brian Bearfield.
Coach, you all played better in the second half against Prairie View. Well, how were you able to use those adjustments that
somebody's Charles Bishop? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I said that you all played played better in the second half of the game this past week against Prairie View. How will you be able to take that positivity and carry it over into your next game?
That's a really good question, because it's the same thing that happened in the first ball game. We played better in the second half than we did in the first half. For me, it's just about execution. We got in the green zone a couple times and turned the football over. Kid made a really good play, flat area, and the ball shouldn't have been going in that direction. But it's just minor mistakes that we're making. But the problem is people are capitalizing on our mistakes, but we're not capitalizing on their mistakes, because our defense is turning people over as well. but we're not capitalizing on that offensively. And when you're evenly matched athletically with a lot of the teams that you'll face in this league, you know, then it boils down to who takes advantage of mistakes. And that's been our issue the last 2 weeks, is we haven't taken advantage of the mistakes given to us, but people have definitely taken advantage of our mistakes.
Thank you.
Any final questions for Coach Fobbs? Hearing none, Coach, as always, we appreciate you, sir.
Thank you guys so much. I enjoyed it.
Okay, I've got 10:35 here on my clock, and next we're joined by Arkansas Pine Bluff head coach Doc Gamble. Coach, always a pleasure to speak to you on our media session. If you would please, obviously coming off a bye week, if you could recap your week, your bye, and also preview your upcoming opponent, the Grambling State Tigers.
Well, for us, you know, we were able to benefit from a bye week, you know, allow some guys with some nicks and bruises to get some additional treatment in and spend some time with that, and then get caught up with the academics part of it and the things that they have to do academically and not lose focus of that. Just trying to, you know, we kind of got out of a routine. We had a good routine going on. Then it's, you know, we got out of it because of with the bye week, but we were able to add in some other things that was necessarily needed for us, you know. And then this week here, you know, starting off, you know, today, we're looking forward to being able to get back out and get back into our old routine and looking forward to going and play a football game this weekend.
Appreciate that, Coach. Obviously, you know, just speaking with Coach Fobbs, every week is a big game, right? With such a condensed schedule, there's a smaller sample size that teams get to play. Obviously, just playing everyone on their side and then two teams on the east side or the west side, respectively. Big game this week down there in Grambling State. They're at 0-2, obviously 2 close losses for them. Your team trying to continue to make those progressions and take that next step to be one of the top tier teams in the conference. If you could just talk a little bit about heading down there to Eddie G. Robinson Stadium to face Grambling State and what they bring from what you've seen so far on film.
Well, what I know so far now, you know, what I not so far, but the only bye week you get this week if you don't have a game at the end on your schedule for that week. That's the only bye week you get. So every week is a challenge. You know, as long as there's a team on the schedule that you're gonna have to play at the end of the week. You know, with Grambling, you know, they could easily be 2-0 right now. So they're pretty much 2 plays away from being an undefeated football team. Real good football team, and we know that. For us, we're trying to improve from week 1 to our second game, and that's, you know, for us, we're trying to make sure we're able to show some improvement and solidify the things that we need to do to go down here and take on a great opponent.
Appreciate that, Coach. We'll now take a question from Brian Bearfield.
Coach, you had almost 200 yards rushing in your last game. Was that something that you all focused on, and is that something that you're focusing on this week?
Well, we always like to be balanced, so to speak, and so to say. But you know, you say what is balanced, and it's really, to me, is whatever's. We want to be efficient, you know, and being able to run the football. Of course, I believe you have to run the football, and to win games, you got to be able to do it and do it when you want to do it. But if not, it's just about being balanced. And then we got a couple of good backs that have helped us do that, and we got some good ones up front that helps us do that as well. But you know, if we can run the ball, we will run the ball. If we have to throw it, we're gonna have to throw it. So it's really, we're gonna do whatever is gonna work that day for us.
Currently taking questions for Coach Gamble. I do see a hand again. Mr. Bearfield, please proceed with your question, sir.
Coach, on the other side of the ball, can you talk about the play of Jalen Thigpen?
Jalen's is a good player, real good player for us. And, you know, he does a good job back there in the secondary for us. He's a slim guy, but he's very physical, you know, and he's shown the ability to play the ball pretty well in the air as well. So he's been good for us. And then we have alongside of him is Sean Steele. So they're starting to form a dynamic duo back there that is, you know, I would love to go with, you know, take them anywhere with me and go play ball with those two guys.
Thank you.
Coach, obviously at this point of the season, you've gotten some really, in the game that you played, the exceptional play at the quarterback position with Skylar. Talk a little bit about his progression and what you like as far as what you've seen from him so far this season.
What I like about Skylar is Skylar's being Skylar, and that's good. That's good enough for our program. It's good enough for me and for him just to continue to be Skylar and be who he is. And I always said that he's a guy that people gravitate to. He's a people person, and people. He's a natural leader, and those are the things that we needed out of that position. And he's now that he's older, he's still just a junior, but he's older in our eyes and in my eyes because he's been around here for 3 years now. But he's been the same person from day one to day three now. I mean, from day one to year 3 now. So now against Southern, I did see a different guy. So he was the guy out there dancing and prancing around and say, I don't know that dude right there. I want the guy that's showing up and going to work with determination on his face and on his mind all the time. And he's been consistent, and we love to have him around. And he's still, I think his best football is still ahead of him.
Currently taking questions for Coach Doc Campbell with Arkansas Pine Bluff. I believe we have a question from Kendrick Marshall.
How you doing, Coach? Your win against Southern, your first game kind of opened a lot of eyes because they're favorites, and you guys are coming up the season where you kind of finished lower in the standings. But coming into the season with the way it's developed with everybody having to go through COVID and the long layoff, do you think this probably makes the playing field in the conference a little bit more even, considering everybody had to deal with the same challenges?
Yeah, I believe so. And the playing field is even because of the talent pool. I think is good talent, good players throughout the conference, and it's real good coaching throughout the conference. So that equals that balances out the playing field as well. Like I just said earlier, the only bye week you have on your schedule is the game when you don't have anything scheduled at the end of the week. So every week is a challenge. So you have to be on your A game at all times. So, but yeah, we're all going through the same things, and it's how you manage it, and it's really, to me, is how the kids are taking to it. A lot of guys haven't been able to go home and hadn't been not been able to hang around any friends that's outside of your organization, and just managing those things, and just those guys really knowing the importance of us trying to, and we're not just trying to get the game day, it's just trying to get to the next day, so. All of those things have been factoring in. So, yes, we all have our challenges, and it's been a challenge, and it's a daily roster management, at least for us. I know it is. So we talk personnel every single day, and just trying to make sure everybody's on point and doing everything, staying within the guidelines that's been set forth, and just for us to get a chance to go out here and play football.
All right, thank you.
Next question comes from E. Taylor.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Good. How you doing, E?
I'm making it, man. The last 2 times that PP has played Grambling, man, those have been 2 close games, man. What sticks out about this year's Grambling team that it kind of jumps out at you?
The ball being going, the decision being on the other side. Typically Grambling hasn't won those games. So, and that's just being honest with you. To hear coming down the stretch, it typically. It seemed like with Grambling and also Southern, when close games have tended to go in their favor, so and that's, I don't think it's changed just here the last couple of weeks. It hadn't gone that way, but still in the back of my mind, that's how it always is with those guys. And the thing about it is testament to their programs, and they know how to win, and programs that have a long history of winning. So, and playing good football along the way. And but those are the things. That's the things that really stick out to me. Is and like I said again before, Grambling, they're 2 plays away from being undefeated right now.
Any final questions for Coach? All right, hearing none, Coach. As always, we appreciate your time. Look forward to speaking with you next week.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we'll be joined by Mississippi Valley State head coach Dancy. We're right at about 60 seconds maybe before we'll get started with Coach. It's 10:44. We'll get started 10:45. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I've got 10:45 a.m. Central on my clock. We'll go ahead and get started. Happy to be joined by Mississippi Valley State head coach Vincent Dancy. Coach, if you could please start us out with an opening statement about your team's most recent game versus Jackson State.
Yes, sir. I thought our guys went out and play hard. First half wasn't the best for us, especially defensively. We knew that they had a very talented team. And in every game they played, that second quarter, they made big plays, and we just couldn't stop the big plays in the second quarter. But I think in the latter half of the second half of the game, our defense finally settled in and made a few stops for us. Offense kind of drove the ball down. We got in the red zone at least three times that second half and could not manage to punch it in. But proud of the way our guys fought, proud of the team that I have. Just a lot of things that we got to clean up. So we can execute better. I thought we ran the ball. Thought we was physical up front. Thought we was dominant in the trenches. We just got to do a better job in our secondary and also in our passing game to push the ball down the field a little bit more.
Coach, one thing that I did notice watching the game was that you did have some success moving the ball. You advanced it into their territory on multiple possessions that you had there in the first half. Talk a little bit about just getting your team to the point where they're able to follow those type of drives through with touchdowns or field goals.
Like I said, I think once we did get in the red zone, it was either the first down was either a false start. It was something to set us back and make that first down even longer. So, like I said, I think that just comes from the layoff, not playing in a long time. Trust me, some of these guys are transfers and junior college players that hasn't played in almost 2 years. So I think the jitters was there, but I think it's a lot about execution as coaches. We got to do a better job in putting them in position to and have more creativity to get our players open and make plays in those crucial situations like the red zone, which I think we should have executed better in those areas.
And Coach, obviously the score really not indicative to, I think, the competitive nature on the ball game. I mean, your defense started out very strong. Obviously, offensively, you started out with some success as well. Can you kind of talk to us a little bit back on the offensive side of the ball and assess the play at the quarterback position?
Yes. I think the opening drive, I think we drove the ball all the way down. We drove the ball down the field. I think we got to the 30-yard line. We missed the field goal. So we had some success early on, especially running the ball. I thought we was very physical in the trenches. We had some big time runs. We was averaging almost 4 yards a carry throughout the course of the game. And I thought once they made big plays, we fell behind quick, especially in the second quarter. And I think offensively we tried to, make plays instead of continuing running the offense. I think we just tried to make plays. And from the quarterback position, I think, like I said, this was his first game, and I think in like 2 years. So I think he had to get the feel of the game, understand what was going on. I think he settled in later in the second half, but the first half, like I said, man, we just gotta execute better. Very proud of this team, knowing how they competed. I've seen some great things, and I can't say anything bad because I knew I expected some of this to occur because of the wait, the layoff, and everything that we went through. But there's no excuse. And like I said, we just got to execute better. I thought we was physical, like you said. They scored late in the fourth quarter because we were just trying to make some plays offensively. But I thought for the most part, our defense did exactly what we asked them to do at halftime. Let's settle down, stop them, don't let them score. In our offense, we moved the ball. We just couldn't score. So just got to find ways to score, man. And this film will tell us a good deal of who we are and what we can be moving forward. And I think we'll be ready in the next 2 weeks to play our next opponent.
Appreciate that, Coach. We'll take a question from Brian Bearfield.
Coach, you've reiterated how proud you are of your team. How will you use this last loss as a learning experience to move forward?
Man, it was a big learning experience, not only for the players, but for us as coaches. Think about it. We haven't been on the field in a year as well, and I think it was some things that we could have done better throughout the course of the game. Some things we could have seen to help these guys execute better. But I told our guys, man, I was proud of them because I kind of pictured this game going in that way. I told them right before, I said, somebody could be down 30. It could be us or it could be them. It would show the character of who you are as men, if you're down in that position. And I thought going in at halftime, we was down 4 touchdowns. But actually, we got the ball back 4 times in the red zone. So we could have easily made it a game because our defense held up. Our defense stopped the run. We didn't give up a lot of big plays the second half like we did the second quarter. So like I said, it's a testament of our faith, man. And I think these guys will look at it, learn from it, and move forward because I got grown men in this locker room.
Coach obviously had an opportunity to visit with your standout defensive lineman, Garner, there, dynamic young man on and off the field. What does he bring to your team from a leadership perspective, week in and week out?
He's a young man that I went to in the locker room and told him, listen, we got to settle these guys down. We have to settle these guys down because I always look at him as a leader such as myself. And that's what he did. He went to the guys and say, man, we just got to settle down. I think we was overhyped to play this game early in the first half. I think that had more to do with it than anything. Just being so overhyped. It was our first game, and our guys had to settle down, especially defensively. But I always looked at Jerry Garner to help me when it comes to leading this defense and making sure that we're executing at a high level and doing the right things to help us execute.
Coach, you talked a little bit here previously about the nature of this season with the pauses and the stops related to COVID-19. Obviously, you play a game yesterday. Now you have another 2-week stretch, essentially 2 bye weeks before you're back out there on the field. What are some of the things that your coaching staff will do in order to try to help the team progress and also stay fresh for the upcoming opponent?
I think what I think now is because we have a game under our belt. We played 60 minutes. They know the field now. I think now we learn from our mistakes from this game and we move forward. We put it behind us and we keep moving forward. We practice just like we would if we had any bye week. And we correct the things that need to be corrected. We work the red zone. Defensively, we stop giving up the big plays. And I think that has to be our focus because I think up front we're dominant enough in the trenches to play with anybody in this conference. Now we have to make sure that we can be creative enough in the offensively in the red zone that we can score in this conference. And secondary wise, it's some big time players, big time receivers in this conference, and we cannot continue to give up the big plays. And I think that's what we have to focus on in order to get over that hump and win the next game.
Coach, you spoke about, the nature of this with some big-time receivers. Obviously, Jackson State, just looking at their receiving core, big physical guys. Obviously, your backs did a great job competing with them. But, that physical side of this game can't be overlooked is obviously something that you'll want to continue to preach to your ball club, right?
Right. I'm just listening to Coach Gamble. As he said, man, some big-time players in this conference and some big-time coaches. And I think, they won every 50-50 ball. Sometimes the defensive back was right there, but their size and their willingness and their competitiveness, they won those balls for them. And there's some big-time players, man. Take no way about the talent that they have. Those are some big-time receivers. And like I said, they won the 50-50 ball. And that's what we got to get better at, competing. I think that came down to competing, who wanted it more. And I think their guys wanted it more. Because if you take away those 3 big plays off those 3 touchdowns, then the game, then it's really a football game.
Coach, it's always a pleasure speaking with you on these calls, and we look forward to speaking with you again next week.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Coach Dooley, always dapper as usual. Appreciate you taking some time to join us here on the call, Coach. If you could please start us out with an opening statement about your team's most recent victory, a win over Grambling State in the State Fair Classic.
Okay, well, first of all, good morning to everyone, and thanks for having me. We knew that we were going into a dogfight, to just put it simple. A dogfight. You're talking about a well-coached Grambling State football team with Coach Fobbs. I know things just haven't been going the way that they always prepared. The very first game, they didn't get it, but we didn't let that get to our head because we know we were going to have a hard-fought contest. But, I thought both teams came out and competed for 60 minutes, which gave the fans a good game, a good show to see. Fortunate enough, we were able to come out on top, made a couple of plays here and there that gave us the victory. So very proud of the young men. Still got some things that we have to work on because we're not there yet. It's a lot of corrections to learn from this past ball game, but most proud of those guys fighting for 60 minutes.
Appreciate that, Coach. Obviously, we talk, to all of our coaches about the condensed nature of this schedule, right? It's not an 11 or 13 game schedule. It's 6 games, essentially half. Every week is a must win. Every week is a big game, right? Unless, like Coach Gamble said, you have a bye week. Obviously, it gets no easier for anybody in the conference this week. You'll host Alabama A&M at home. Game has a little bit of an added highlight. It'll be on ESPN3. If you could preview that matchup for us with the Bulldogs.
Yeah, I like to look at it right now. To me, as always, but now with us just playing within the conference, it's SWAC time. That's exactly what it is. It's SWAC time. And, it's a lot of competition within this league. I have always known that. So we got to prepare, but we're going against a good football team. You're talking about a guy that's probably a pro prospect in Kill Glass. He can spin it. He can flat out throw the football, but he has some something that I like to take a look at a lot is the wide receivers. He got some receivers that's coming back that can play football. But, overall, he got a good football team. He got a experienced defense coming back. They didn't lose as many guys on defense. And then they're well coached. So we know it's going to be it's not going to be easy. It's going to be a challenge for us, and we up for the challenge.
Appreciate that, Coach. We'll open it up for questions. Our first question will come from Brian Bearfield.
Hey, Coach, on Saturday, you talked about how your scouts and your coaching staff went out and got you some good defensive players. Can you talk about the 1-2 punch of defensive lineman Jason Dumas and linebacker Story Jackson?
Well, I tell you, those young men been with us since we started. They was one of my first signing class, and they're just maturing right now. They've been in the league now. This is their 3rd season playing together, but those young men work extremely hard. So, what they're displaying, I expect. But we did surround those guys with some guys that I feel can help our defense. I thought we needed some depth, and our assistant coaches did a great job going out getting guys to come. But Dumas and Story, they're going to play every minute, every second. So very pleased with those young men, and I think the best is yet to come.
I believe we might have a follow-up question there from Mr. Bearfield.
Yes. Coach, you also said you were kind of disappointed in the turnovers that your offense is having. Is that just from the rust of not playing, for a long period of time, and getting to accommodated with one another?
Absent from the football game has nothing to do with those type turnovers. That's just squeezing the football, keeping it high and tight. Those things we got to work on. We work on those things every day. That's fundamental. So we got to make sure we get that corrected. And I feel confident that those young men will get that corrected, and we shouldn't have those type turnovers. But, that has nothing to do with absence from football. That's just merely concentrating on what you're supposed to do with the football, knowing that you're in traffic.
Currently still taking questions for Coach Dooley with Prairie View A&M. Once again, media, if you do have questions, we ask you please utilize the raise your hand feature here on Zoom. We'll try to get as many questions in during our allotted 10-minute time block with our coaches. Once again, we're taking questions for Coach Dooley. We have a question here from Brian Bearfield.
Coach, I'm a PV alum, so I can ask you these questions all day. But you talked about Akil Glass coming in, and he's the preseason SWAC offensive player of the year. How hard is it going to be to contain him?
Well, you know, the ball jumps off his hand. There's no question about it. We know what he wants to do. He wants to throw the football, but he's a good young man that's been playing football, been starting for Alabama A&M. And of course, Coach Maynor does a good job with him, developing him, getting him prepared to play games. So it's a challenge that, you know, and we always accept challenges, but we know there's going to be a challenge. They got a great offense. They got a great football team. So we know we're going to have a hard-fought contest coming this Saturday.
Coach, obviously, we've talked a little bit about the spotlight, right, of spring football, you know, in this conference now with the ESPN television package. You look at, you know, weeks here in the conference now, you know, you could have 2 or 3 games that are being spotlighted on ESPN. From an exposure standpoint, how big is that television and the ESPN deal showcasing these games for your program as it relates to recruiting?
Well, just speaking personally, I think it's huge for Prairie View A&M University. You know, you get some individuals that doesn't live close nearby that have never visited the campus or probably don't even know about Prairie View, but now they get the opportunity because of the exposure. So I think that's great for the not only for recruiting, but just for the university itself. And then, you know, I think it speaks volumes for the conference because I'm a Southwestern athletic guy, and to me, it's bringing a lot of joy that we are getting this type of exposure, and I think it's overdue. And I'm just pleased and happy that this conference is finally getting its just due.
Currently taking questions for Coach Dooley, Prairie View A&M. Any final questions for Coach? Okay. Hearing none, as always, Coach, we appreciate your time. Look forward to speaking with you again next week. Coach Odums, good morning to you, sir. If you could please just start us out with an opening statement, obviously coming off a bye week, recapping your bye and previewing your upcoming opponent.
Oh, appreciate it. Thank you, Andrew. Just really working on fundamentals, just trying to figure out, you know, more so what we needed to be working on, concentrating on us, just making sure first we get healthy, just trying to nurse our guys back to health to the best of our ability. Injuries started. They start piling up on you real quick. So it was a needed bye week. Hopefully we got the mindset right, just getting our guys locked into the stretch run. And, you know, it's a short season, not a lot of room for mistakes. So we got a chance to really work on some things and just get the Jags better. And that's really what we focus on is understanding what we needed to do, go out and do it, practice it at a high level, and just raise our intensity and sense of urgency. And I thought the guys responded well.
Appreciate that, Coach. We'll open it up for questions. I did see Jim Kleinpeter with his hand raised for our first question.
Yeah, Coach, I'm wondering how far along you are with the development at quarterback. Is someone moving ahead? Are you going to go forward with planning to play both of them?
Well, it's still an evaluation process. I think our guys responded. I think they understand what we're looking for at that position. We also we got McDaniel back. He's not 100% cleared to go yet, but hopefully in a few days or another week, he'll be able to start taking snaps again. But I think John and Ladarius both understand what we need them to do at that position. We have a plan for both guys, and we're going to see how it goes. But I think the week off really helped us to attack our guys mentally and really iron sharpens iron and get our guys locked in and focused for what they need to do in order for us to be successful.
Where is Ladarius' head at right now? You had meetings with him, you know, and are you confident that he can pull it all together and get back on track?
Yes, he's in class right now, just focusing on what he needs to do there, and it's things happen. And as coaching, I've been doing this a long time. You just have to understand that we went through a game, we benched him, and that's all about how you respond. And what we try to explain to guys in our program is the next play cannot be affected by the previous play. So we moved on from it. We addressed it. We addressed it immediately when it happened. And I think he's prepared for the next challenge. I think he's ready to go. I think John's ready to go. And I think our offense is doing an outstanding job of utilizing both of those guys. And we're excited. I think our best football has yet to be played. I think it's in front of us. But since we've been here, we found the way to get better. We found the way to overcome whatever adversity we face, and we facing that again. So we're going to need to play very well, and we know if we're going to play well, it starts with the quarterback position. And when those guys are locked in mentally, then we got a chance to be successful.
If I may, one more. Would you talk about Jonathan Bishop and what he's meant, not just to the offense or the offensive line, but to the team as a leader? Has he been the guy that you wanted him to be?
Well, Bishop brings that right attitude every day, Jim. He does an outstanding job, great leader for us on the offensive line. Those guys play with a high motive. They're very talented, a good group of guys, well coached, and they communicate very well. And we know our offensive line has played well through the first two games. They've given us some opportunities to run the ball, throw the ball. They've done an excellent job in pass protecting. And it just hasn't come together all the way. And I think the bye week helped us really focus in on some things that we wasn't doing very well, narrow it down and simplify and really get our guys playing at a faster level. And I think we've done that, and it starts with Bishop up front. In order for us to be an outstanding offense, the offensive line has to be in contact, and they've done that. Those guys have been one unison, and they've been working well together. Those five guys work well as the nickel, and they've been pretty dominant through our first two games. They've given us a chance in both ball games. And as long as they continue to stay healthy and play well, then I think our offense is going to finally come together and start clicking the way we envision them to.
Appreciate that, Coach. Next question comes from Kevin Batiste.
Hey, Coach. After Devon Ben fumbled, Jared Sims got the bulk of the carries and the positions in the last game. Is he the running back one going forward, or are you still kind of rotating?
Well, I think we got a lot of depth at that position. I think Sims came on the last time we were out in 19. He had a very good close of the season. He played very well. He's very explosive, very dynamic, very physical. He give us something at that position that's totally different from Devon Ben. The explosiveness is there, and he's done a great job in blitz pickup. And I think that's where you see the biggest difference. We got down late in that ball game. We made a couple mental mistakes in blitz pickup, and really cost us to get pressure on the quarterback and force him to throw the ball before he was ready to throw it. But I think Sims has played very well. He's earned that time. He's doing a wonderful job. He continued to get better. The thing with our running back room, just guys been beat up, and I think that's been the tough thing for our offense is being able to have a healthy cast of guys. And hopefully this bye week we're a lot healthier than we were going into the bye week coming out. And if we can stay healthy, I think those guys will have an opportunity to continue to play well going down the stretch. But Sims is a guy that I think has unbelievable talent, and he takes advantages of his opportunities.
One more thing. After having a week to watch the film, how have the conversations been, defensively on how to fix things? And what would you say was the main flaw in that game against Pine Bluff?
Well, it just fits. Fits, energy. You just didn't play very well, and you couldn't just pinpoint one or two things. But I really thought the second half, the guys played a lot better. The unknown was big in that game, just not knowing what you was going to get. I thought the quarterback for Pine Bluff played extremely well. We gave up some plays that we haven't given up. He made some good decisions, threw the ball on time, got it out of his hands pretty quick. But you saw a totally different team in the second half. I think in the second half, we figured out some things and made some adjustments, but you dug yourself too big of a hole. And when you do that, it's going to be tough to beat anybody.
Next question comes from Brian Bearfield. This will be the final question.
Coach, can you talk about your preparation coming to play a Texas Southern team who had a very close loss, a tough loss to Prairie View in week 1?
Well, yes, I think you can see it. Coach McKinney's done a good job of getting the culture and getting the right pieces of the puzzle in there. And, a tough one. I mean, same thing. You get close to the end of a ball game, and you could see, it seems like when you're fighting and you're clawing your way, and you lose those tough ones. Now the adversity sets in, and you got to respond. But they're a good football team. They got some good players, and I respect him a lot. He's done an outstanding job coming into this conference and trying to build something. And it takes a little time, but when you meet him off the field, you have nothing but respect for him. And we talk some outside of football, but they got a good football team, got some good players, and the best is in front of them. It'll be a good football game, fun challenge, and we look forward to going to play. It look like we're gonna have a few fans at the game, so that atmosphere ought to be electric.
Actually, we'll just so make sure we get all our questions in. Are there any final questions for Coach Odums before we wrap up his session? Okay, Jim, I saw your hand, sir.
Yeah, Coach, I wanted to ask about the tight ends. I know you said you were kind of beat up there. I was wondering if you knew if you were going to have everybody available there.
Well, we got them available. They starting to get back out there at practice and work a little bit, so that's going to help us. I think it's hard for us to run the ball without those tight ends, and I think they're going to be. I don't know if they'll be 100%, but they'll be able to go, and hopefully they help us with that running game. But it'll be good to see those guys back out there. I know they're looking forward to it. Our offense is looking forward to it because they are an important part of what we do offensively.
Coach Odums, always a pleasure to speak with you, sir, and we look forward to speaking with you again next week.
Andrew, always a pleasure. Thank you. Go Jags.
Thank you. Next up, we'll be joined by Clarence McKinney with the Texas Southern Tigers. Once again, if you do have a question, we ask that you please use the raise your hand feature here on Zoom. We'll try to get as many questions as we can during our allotted time. Just utilize that raise your hand feature, and we'll try to get your question in. I do believe that we have Coach McKinney here on the line. Good morning, Coach McKinney. How are you, sir?
Good morning. I'm fine. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good, Coach. It's always a pleasure to speak with you, and thank you for taking some time out your schedule to join us. Coach, if you could please, obviously a bye week this past week for your program, if you could kind of recap that bye week and also preview your upcoming opponent.
Really, just trying to get guys back healthy. It was a physical game versus Prairie View, and had a few guys get nicked up, and so we just spent the bye week trying to get guys back healthy. And just fine-tuning some things offensively, defensively, and special teams.
Next question comes from Brian Bearfield.
Hey, Coach, how's it going?
How's it going, Brian?
All right, can you talk about your 1-2 punch in Ladarius Owens and Ja'Cory Howard from the running back position?
Yeah, those guys are very interesting. They're a little bit they're very different from each other from a style standpoint. Ja'Cory Howard was a bigger back, but he can do all the things that Ladarius can do from a pass catching standpoint. We'd like to put him out there and let him soften the defense up for Ladarius, who's more of a scat back, a little smaller guy who has some breakaway speed and he catches the ball very well. Ja'Cory's probably a little bit better within protection than Ladarius, but Ladarius is probably better in the pass catching game. So we feel like we have a really good 1-2 punch in those guys, and they really enjoy each other and they root for each other when they're out there.
And Coach, away from the field, I got to ask you this. How proud of you are the Texas Southern men's basketball team headed to the big dance?
You got to love it. You got to love it. Those guys fought hard. It's hard to beat a team 3 times in one season. So we kind of figured we expected to beat Prairie View in that championship game, and just to have these guys on a national scale represent Texas Southern University is big time.
Currently taking questions for Coach McKinney with Texas Southern. We ask that if you do have a question, please utilize the raise your hand feature here on Zoom. Once again, currently taking questions for Coach McKinney. I see Jim Kleinpeter with a question.
Yeah, Coach, would you talk a little bit about playing Southern and what you're expecting? what their strengths are in your view, and I don't know, maybe a little bit about your defense and how they're progressing.
Well, playing Southern is very interesting. Coach Odums is a friend of mine. I know he's going to have his team prepared. They're going to have a bad taste in their mouth based on their last outing, and I think you're going to find two teams that are going to be both well coached and prepared and ready to have a really good competition against each other. Defensively, we're going to line up and see if we can stop those big backs he's got. He's got big guys up front, and they're a very physical team, and we're just going to try and match that physicality.
Next question comes from Brian Bearfield.
Coach, you all played very well in the second half of that Prairie View game. What were you able to see on film that would carry over into the game coming up against Southern?
It's really a matter of guys doing their job. Our guys decided to settle down, do their job, and play with a high level of intensity and emotions. And we were unfortunate in the outcome, but as far as an effort and standpoint goes, our guys really played with great effort.
Next question comes from Kevin Batiste.
Hey, Coach, how is the fan attendance going to be for your game this week? I know Texas, they reopened everything. So I guess, have you guys decided to, increase the fan capacity?
Yeah, the state has opened, but each individual stadium operator has the right to follow the state guidelines or continue with the guidelines that were set in place. I don't think there will be a 100% capacity, but I do believe there'll be at least 25% capacity, and that fans will be allowed at the game.
Any final questions for Coach McKinney? All right, Coach, as always, pleasure speaking with you, sir. We look forward to speaking with you again next week.
Thank you, and go Tigers.
Thank you. Well, next up, we'll be joined by Jackson State head coach, Coach Sanders, and we will actually have him here momentarily. We appreciate your patience. Once again, we ask that if you do have any questions for Coach, please utilize the raise your hand feature here on Zoom to ask your question. I believe we do have Coach here on the Zoom. Okay, sounds good. Good morning, Coach. How are you today, sir?
How you doing, everybody?
Thank you so much for joining us, Coach. If you could please, Coach, just start us out with an opening statement about your team's 43-7 victory over Mississippi Valley State.
Mississippi Valley State came to play. They played hard, played tough. They were physical, never gave up, not one moment. Greatly coached, well officiated game. We just executed a little more than they did, but it was a great contest. We're happy. Some of the things that we were watching film today to correct some of the things that we weren't satisfied with, to hopefully prepare ourselves for this next week's battle. It's going to be a tough one.
Appreciate that, Coach. We'll now open it up for questions for Coach. Our first question comes from Mark Gray. Mark,
can't hear you, man.
Mute. You're on.
Mr. Gray, mute yourself, please.
Mr. Gray, you're muted there, sir.
Hi, how are you, Coach? I'm sorry. Mark Gray, we go back to Atlanta. I was collateral damage when you splashed McCarver, but we won't hold you accountable for that. I'm working with Rob Parker on MLB.com. I want to apologize to my colleagues here for hijacking the conversation for just a minute, but I had a couple of baseball questions, if you don't mind. Do any of your players remember your exploits or know of you as a two-sport athlete?
These kids are better to remember as a one-sport athlete. So I think they were young, but thank God for the internet. that we can relive some of those things. But we have a couple guys that very fond of baseball. I think a couple guys that will play baseball as well. A couple do sport.
What are some of your fondest memories of opening day?
Just what it was, opening day. It was an opportunity to get the season started, opportunity to show your exploits, opportunity to play in front of large crowds, and it was just phenomenal. Just the beginning of anything in life is a phenomenon to me, and it's an opportunity to display what gifts that God has given you.
It would be safe to say that football worked out really well for you, y'all. But if you had your druthers, if you could go to, the big fella upstairs and say, all right, I got my choice between Hall of Famer football and Hall of Famer baseball player, perfect world, would it have been football or baseball?
Well, the big fella's name is Jesus. That's his name. He's not the big fella. His name is Jesus. I love him. I have a relationship with him. If I had to do it all over again, I probably would lean towards baseball full-time and probably football part-time. If I had to do it all over again. But I like—
Why is that?
Because just the longevity of it. I like to be dominant. I like to conquer it. And that's a chapter in my life. I felt like it was unclosed. I was not dominant. I was a pretty decent baseball player, but never dominant. I think I had spurts of being dominant, stealing bases, getting on base and causing havoc. But that's one thing in my life that I look on my shoulder and said I could have done better.
And why aren't there any more black players? I mean, there are only 86 on the roster starting this year. What happened?
What happened to the black fathers teaching the young black children how to play? You expect the child to do something when he's never been taught? How is he going to be taught? That starts in the home. Baseball starts at 5 and 6 years old. You can't just jump into baseball as a teenager and go back and say, oh, I could do this now. Now, some of these kids are throwing 80 miles an hour as young teenagers, 12, 13, 14 years old. So that's what's happened. And the cost of baseball is probably $2,500 to $3,500 playing select leagues. Ain't nobody got that in the city where I grew up at.
Thank you, Coach. Talk to you soon.
Appreciate you.
Our next question comes from Rashad Milligan.
Hey, Coach.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Hoodie off, man. Let's do this right.
Okay. First of all, I just want to say sorry for your loss.
God, come on. Let's do this right. You want me to take you serious in this business? Take your hoodie down, man. Pull your hat down.
Oh, sorry. I apologize, Coach.
Good.
First of all, I just want to say sorry for your loss. I didn't get to tell you that yesterday at the game.
Appreciate that, Rashad. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Jalen Jones. What's the update on Jalen Jones?
I haven't gotten my report from the training staff yet, but Jalen is a tough kid, man. He's very tough. He's wanted to get right back in there and do his thing, and he did, but he was hurting. And we could tell he was physically hurting, not able to have his balance on certain throws, and balls started to drift on him. That's why we got him out of there so we could have him for this week. But he's a fighter, and I'm proud of him.
Defensively, you guys got your first interception yesterday. Just how did that feel, seeing that interception, and how you feel about the secondary's performance so far?
Interception, not only that, the sack, scoop and score, but Crane. Shaw played well, 17, and you know what Nugget does. The secondary, they got to the ball, man. I think we only surrendered 270. 270 yards total on defense. That's phenomenal. Whatsoever. And we didn't even play our best. We keep saying that, and we keep reiterating that. And I know it's hard to fathom what we're saying, and I just left out of the defensive meeting room, and those guys aren't satisfied. Is so much room for improvement. We blowing a lot of roles like A gap, B gap, filling by the linebackers as well as defensive linemen. But we got a lot of work to do. But we're the guys that gonna get them to the place they need to. We welcome the challenge.
Well, what are some of the things that you are telling Nugget? Like you said, he is playing well, but he hasn't had his first pick of the season yet.
Nugget's biggest contest come in practice. I mean, when you think about what Dalen and Corey Reed did and some of the other guys that's not even eligible, man, they go at Nugget every darn day in practice, and Shador's throwing to him. So it's a battle out here on the practice field. I know it's cliche with me saying this stuff, but they go at it, man. We're very competitive at practice, and that's where it all starts.
And then my final question, obviously Jackson State women's headed to the NCAA tournament on the women's side. And then, the men's side, your old school, Florida State, was in the ACC tournament final. So who do you have in March? I guess Final Four, if you have any.
I just graduated. I didn't even graduate from Florida State.
That's why I didn't say alumni.
Graduated from HBCU, baby. Let's focus on that. Yeah, that's right. But I'm happy with our women's team, with our men's team. I'm happy completely with everything that we're accomplishing. I think, man, Ashley is doing a phenomenal job as an AD here. And I know we're getting a lot of attention and focus, but the other sports are balling right now. They're doing a phenomenal job, man. And I thank you, Rashad. I ain't mean to get on you, man, but I love you enough to check you on that. All right? I care. If I didn't care, I would just let you ride with it. But I care.
Thanks for getting me right, Coach. Thanks for getting me right. I appreciate that.
Next question comes from Brian Bearfield.
Coach, can you talk about that offensive outburst that you all had yesterday? You had 456 total yards, but I know you, and as a person that you still can find some things that y'all can improve on, correct?
We didn't have a 100-yard rusher yesterday. Jalen was a 5.2-yard carry, and that's a quarterback. That's understandable, but we got to do much better. We got to do much better in carrying the football when we have a line that's versatile and strong and physical as they were. They got to impose their will, and we did not do that. We found some holes in the secondary where we were able to take advantage of in crossing routes. And our big fellas, man, one-on-one balls, they won. And that's what the SWAC features. They feature a lot of one-on-one because you got to stack the box against our run. I think we had accumulated close to 500 yards in the first two games. So they had to stack that. So that leaves those guys out on the island one-on-one, and our receivers did a wonderful job, and Jalen did a great job of getting the ball to him. Quincy did too once he got in there.
Coach, being who you are, you bring a lot of notoriety to the SWAC as a whole. Do you feel like your team is the hunted, and how do your players step up to that challenge?
They're going to always be the hunted just because of me. The thing about it, the same thing that provokes you to shine, it also shows your blemishes. That light, everybody wants to be in that light, but that light can work two ways for you. We feel like we're that team, man. We want you to come at us. Everybody's gonna come at us. We're gonna get the best. We should get their best. We want their best. But if our best constitutes how we practice, that's the thing. When we're playing against dogs at practice, the way we got our two defensive ends at practice, it's hard to get a pass off in practice, and they're not even eligible. We got three members of the secondary that weren't even starters, that future starters that are not even on the darn field, but they're at practice. So that aspect, man, makes us feel really good about the future and the present of Jackson State University, man. And we're extremely excited. Even yesterday, I saw a safety. I think he might have been 6. One of the cornerbacks, man, they can ball. When we play against teams, I'm not only thinking about our kids, man, the other team. I mean, they have some people that can play on Sundays as well. And then we can shed light on them to give them an opportunity. I think we've done our job. And they can have some players that can truly play the game.
Coach, only question for what you've been able to do in such a short amount of time in building the foundation of this program, and as well as elevating the recruiting game. It's caught people, and people have taken note from a national level, as well as your peers within this conference, your other coaches. How does that make you feel, just that level of respect that you've already garnered in such a short amount of time?
Well, we're always thankful for respect, and respect is earned. It's just not given, it's earned. And I have a tremendous amount of respect for them. If God has chosen me to be in the forefront to lead us into doors that hadn't been open for, so be it. It shouldn't be any jealousy or envy, because I'm trying to open the doors for everyone, not just Jackson State. Improve every aspect, facilities, the travel, uniforms, the overall operation of game day, the exposure we get from ESPN. We shouldn't be on no darn ESPN 14 and we happy about it. We should be on ESPN 2 or ESPN. I guarantee the numbers are going to constitute that whatever you had on the week prior, we outdid those darn numbers. So give us our shine, allow us to, our kids to get their exposure. So I'm happy if God chose me, and I'm happy to bring others in with this wonderful vision, man. We got a vision for HBCUs, and the vision is just not my vision. It's our vision. God just chose me to shine the light on it.
Coach, we're going to be respectful of your time. We'll just take one final question. That question will come from Brian Bearfield.
Coach, once again, being who you are, how often do your players come to you to try to, gain and get as much knowledge as they can from you?
Every day. But I'm accessible like that. I make myself accessible. I'm not just not Coach Prime. I'm Coach Prime. I'm Dad. I'm Uncle. I'm the big homie. I wear a multiplicity of hats. Like today, man, I got a meeting. I want to meet the darn soccer coach, girls soccer coach, because I went out there, watched the soccer game the other day. I don't think the field is up to par. Let me figure out how I can get them a new practice field, a new game field. I'm sorry. So things like that. I want the baseball coach. I got some guys calling me that are two-sport athletes that want to play baseball, but I got to make sure it's the same thing here. Best players going to play. Let the best players compete. I don't want to bring guys in here and you already got your crew together, and now these guys are mad because they transferred because they want to be a part of this football-wise and that in baseball. And I'm talking about guys that were draftable out of high school, that were drafted out of high school, that desires to come and play for DJSU, DI Love. So it's a lot going on here, and I'm excited about it. But these guys, I won't say I have an open door policy because they know not to come in here with no foolishness. But if it's going to help them, I'm with it. I'm with it. They know, but they know me. I'm transparent, man. So they know how I get down. Don't come in with no foolishness. It's like on the sideline. I forgot what number it was. Got a penalty. And I said, such and such, the flag was on you. He told me, man, I didn't hold. I said, well, how you know it was holding? Ain't nobody say nothing about no holding. See, that's the stupid stuff I'm talking about. How did you know it was holding? So that means you had to be holding. I said, do it one more time. You're going to be holding that water jug for the rest of this game. But I'm getting on them in a humorous way, but letting them know, man, that we better than that, man. So I love them, man. They're like, I got 100 and how many? 96 kids in this locker room, man. And I love every last one of them. Don't know all they know. I love every last one of them.
Coach, if we could just take one more question from Rashad Milligan.
No problem.
Hey, Coach, following up on that baseball note that you brought up, how many, who are the players' names who are interested in playing baseball on the team?
I ain't going to tell you that. You lost your
okay. I think I got two. Coach. I got two.
You mean on the team now?
On the team, they can't play. Obviously, your son's supposed to.
The guys that was calling. No.
But who else?
You got them.
Okay, that's it? Just those two?
This is my rule. You can't play two sports if you can't play one sport. All right? How you going to play two sports if you ain't playing one? I need you to be dominant in one so I can even think about the possibility of you playing two. I don't need two halves. I need at least one whole. That's how I talk to my kids. Give me one whole kid. I don't need baseball getting half of you and football getting half of you. That ain't doing nothing for nobody.
So just Shiloh and Shador.
Shador would not play baseball.
Okay, so just Shiloh.
I thought you said you know what you're talking about.
You're right, Coach. You're right. I did say that. So Shiloh, and then you said multiple players on the team though.
Fishing. Now you're fishing now. Fishing. I'm a fisherman. You're using the wrong bait to catch this fish, my brother. Put some bait on your lure.
All right, so go ahead, Coach. I'm sorry. Say that last part again.
Use top water lure because you're using the wrong bait right now.
Okay, Coach. You said multiple players on your team right now are interested in it.
Scoop. It has nothing to do with nothing.
Okay. All right. I just want to, because you mentioned the players. I want to get the players' names.
For what? Hey, it ain't no deal. It's football season, man. Focus. Lock in. We doing something.
All right, Coach.
Doing something. I don't know if we doing something around here. All right, lock in. Keep the main thing the main thing.
Coach, always, we appreciate your time. We look forward to speaking with you again next week.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Mark, Rashid, whatever that is. I'm just joking with you, my brother. I love you. Hey, God bless y'all, man. See y'all next week.